So I want to show you how easy it is to actually make a quesadilla and get that crisp, buttery crust on the outside, and of course have that melty cheese on the inside. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I've got my cast iron skillet here, and I am going to fix this. I'm going to put some butter in my cast iron skillet. I don't have very many chicken breasts laid out. I think I have 3 boneless, skinless chicken breasts. I'm gonna do like 3 tablespoons of butter in this cast iron skillet and let it be melting and getting warm. Sometimes I use oil too. Honestly, I probably would use oil more often, but these are quesadillas. We're gonna splurge a little bit because I'm gonna be cooking the quesadilla in butter as well. So I just thought it'd be nice to have it running free. Okay. So I just had some frozen boneless, skinless chicken breast, and they've been thawed out, and I'm about to season them. I don't like to do a lot of seasoning on the chicken for my quesadillas. I don't like a super strong flavor. But I'm gonna do a little bit of my 3 go-tos, which is Tony's seasoning, garlic powder, and onion powder. And then I'm also gonna add a little bit of chili powder and just a touch of cumin. I'm actually gonna lay the boneless, skinless chicken breast on my cutting board in order to season. I like it to be out where I can see each piece of chicken get seasoning on it.
I'm actually going to clean up my chicken breast just a little. There's a little bit of fat deposits on it, so I'm just going to cut that off with a sharp knife and remove it. I mix my garlic powder, onion powder, and Tony seasoning into a bowl. I would like to point out I gave specific measurements of half a tablespoon of Tony's, half a tablespoon of garlic powder, half a tablespoon of onion powder. But when you're seasoning your chicken breast, just make sure to cover each side with seasoning, if that is a little more or less than the measurements that I gave you. And now I'm going to be adding the chili powder and the cumin. I did 1/4 of a tablespoon of each, but again, I just put it in my hand and I'm gonna sprinkle it where it is on each side of the chicken breast. You really need to use your eye here. I gave measurements, but when I cook, I don't typically measure. This is how I season. Now I'm gonna add the boneless, skinless chicken breast to the cast iron skillet, seasoned side down. At this point, I've only seasoned that top side. And now I'm going to season that second side while it's in the skillet. My black stove shows every stray piece of salt, and so I'm constantly wiping and cleaning it while I'm cooking. Once the first side of the chicken that was laid in the pan gets the texture, the color, and crisp that I want, I'm going to put 1/2 cup of water in the pan and put a lid on it to finish cooking. Adding that moisture and putting a lid to trap heat will ensure that my chicken breast get cooked all the way through but remain super juicy and tender. Now it's time to assemble our quesadillas. The first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to take a tablespoon of sour cream and place it on each tortilla. Then I'm going to use the back of my spoon to just spread that over thinly around that tortilla. The next step is to add half a tablespoon of taco sauce to each tortilla. And then I'm going to use the back of my spoon to spread that over the tortilla and try to mix it with the sour cream that's there. It will start to change to a lighter color. You might be wondering why I do sour cream and taco sauce on my quesadillas. The reason is because although there is melty, gooey cheese on the inside, quesadillas can tend to be dry if you don't add some sort of sauce inside. Even if you don't like sour cream, I dare you to try this because it doesn't really taste like sour cream. It just tastes like an excellent sauce in order to keep your quesadillas moist and juicy and super delicious. Now it's time to add 1/4 cup of cheddar cheese to each tortilla. You can eyeball it just like I do, and you can add more cheese if you like or even less. It's totally up to you and completely customizable. The next step is to add our shredded or chopped up chicken that we made earlier, or whatever protein that you want to add to your quesadillas. Just remember that you're only going to put your protein on the bottom portion of your quesadilla. So I have 4 tortillas here, but 2 of those are going to be the lids for my quesadilla. I'm not going to place my meat on those. Now it's time for us to put our lids on our quesadillas, and because we have that sauce spread on that tortilla, the cheese really does stay in place.
I also have some deer steak fajita meat that was left over in the fridge. I'm gonna throw that in one of my quesadillas. It's gonna be delicious. You can use any meat that you have for these quesadillas. I'm telling you, it's great. It's great for leftovers. It's great for whatever you have in the fridge.
Mixed in with this fajita deer steak is some grilled onions as well. Now I'm just going to repeat the process and make the rest of my quesadillas. I assemble my quesadillas on a cutting board because sometimes it can get a little messy with the taco sauce, the sour cream, and the shredded cheese. But here we have it. They are now assembled and ready to be cooked.
Okay, now that I have all of my quesadillas completely put together, I'm gonna show you how we're gonna cook them and get them buttery and crispy, so delicious, and how to cut them up. Okay, so I have my quesadilla station ready. I've just got my quesadillas sitting here on the stove, already put together. I got my cast iron skillet getting warm. I'm going to put some butter in the bottom of that cast iron skillet, and I'm gonna show you exactly how to cook these quesadillas.
The recipe says 3 tablespoons of butter for cooking the quesadillas. Now, I had to give you some sort of measurement, but this is how I do it. I just take a stick of butter, peel the paper back, and rub it over my hot skillet. And I'm gonna do that between every single flip of the quesadilla and every new quesadilla in the pan. Your nose is your best friend here. I had walked away and I could smell my quesadilla, which told me, Jessie, it is time to flip it. So I quickly pulled my cast iron skillet off the heat and used my spatula to lift it up and to look and see. Thankfully, it had not burned to a crisp, but you can see here how hot my skillet is, so I'm gonna turn it down just a little bit. I put the quesadilla back in on the other side to let it cook. As soon as you do flip your quesadilla to let the second side get crispy, place a lid on it. That will make sure that your cheese and your protein inside melt and get warm. I'm just going to remove that quesadilla from the skillet onto a cutting board and get ready to start the next one. Whenever you're cooking your quesadillas, just slide your spatula underneath and look and see if it's crispy and the color that you want. That's the best way to know. Just look at that ooey gooey melted cheddar cheese, perfectly seasoned fajita deer steak, and that crisp buttery crust. I'm telling you, it's the most delicious thing ever. Now listen to this crunch.